Am I the a-hole for humiliating my father in front of other family members? Hi, I'm not American. I, female in my early 20s, work 2 jobs. One of them is a corporate job in the industry I specialized in after uni in the morning. The other is a teaching job in the afternoon. I work from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. most days, but I chose to. That is true. My goal is to save up and buy a parcel of land to build on eventually. My dad has been unemployed for around a decade, and he has taken up the role of a stay-at-home husband but does very little chores and never cooks. I don't have any say in this because my mom asked me to stay out of their marriage arrangements, and so I do. Yesterday, my aunt, dad's cousin, and her husband were at my parents' house, and so was I, as I still live here. My aunt was flattering me and telling me how hardworking and responsible I was, to which I replied with similar compliments for her children. My dad went into the conversation and started to underestimate my efforts, saying how easy both my jobs were and how unworthy of any compliments I was for it. I politely cleared that they weren't all that easy and that they were meaningful to me, and of course tiresome to me. I said of course my jobs were more comfortable than agriculture or warehouse working, some of the jobs he worked in the past, but that they are equally as important. He got ruder and started saying I only knew how to whine, and that working 2 jobs has no merit. He also added that I didn't even make a lot of money, and I refuted that I make a fair amount. I got offended and said he shouldn't be the one to speak, given I work 2 jobs and he works 0, and my salaries pay for a lot of our household expenses, more than is strictly fair. He said he keeps the house, but I said I do way more chores than him, as well as my mom. I dropped it and changed the topic after my aunt started scolding him for not appreciating my efforts. Later on, he screamed at me and called me an a-hole for defending myself and humiliating him in front of my aunt by saying he doesn't have a job. He said it is normal to talk bad about your own children's accomplishments and I should have taken it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and it is not normal to talk bad about your children. You're supposed to be happy about them. Edit. Just to clarify, I meant it's not normal to talk bad about your child's hard work and achievements, and you're supposed to congratulate them for it. It's 100% not normal to put them down the amazing stuff they've done. Exactly. I take every chance I get to build up my children and recognize the efforts they put in. My teenage daughter had her first job last summer. It was an unpaid volunteer position, but it was absolutely work. I'm still bragging about it. She showed all the qualities of a hardworking, reliable person that you could ask for, and I'm very proud to be her father. I hope he's not the a-hole. Her dad needs to check himself on his entitled attitude. I didn't realize this until after my marriage. At my dad's speech, my husband pointed out how it was full of anecdotes that were about failings of mine. I guess I was so used to it that I didn't realize it. It felt like self-deprecating humor, except it was my dad and not me saying it. I still to this day probably downplay my accomplishments, and I wonder if it was a live fool or subtle digs. Not the a-hole. You pay for the majority of things, plus do most of the chores. And your father has the audacity to treat you this way? I think it's clear what you need to do. Time to leave and let him fend for himself. Yeah, he can't contribute, and I can't let my mom just pay for the 3 of us without contributing, so we end up going 60-40 most of the time. She makes more than me, but from 1 job. He doesn't like chores, and whenever he does them, he leaves those chores that would make my life easier out of the deal. Normal to talk bad about your children's accomplishments. Well, actually, most parents do the exact opposite. If he doesn't want to be seen as not contributing to the household, he needs to start actively contributing to the household, rather than belittling the efforts of others to appear better. Not the a-hole. I've been told he brags sometimes, but only if I'm not around. But he says things like, "Thanks to me, she's accomplished," or "I raised her so well that now she works as..." So I don't know how much of a praise to me it really is. Haha. Next story. Am I the a-hole for flipping out at my husband for canceling my daughter's job interview? My daughter, Mia, is 23 years old. She's a college graduate and recently started looking for a job. Her stepdad, my husband, has been begging her to come work at his company, but she refused because she said that most employees there are men, and that they make uncomfortable comments about women and that they make her feel uncomfortable. She went to the company many times and felt uncomfortable. She said that in those 30 to 40-minute visits, she couldn't handle the negative vibe, so she couldn't imagine working there 8+ hours every day. My husband insisted, and basically gave her a pros list that he thought is enough to make her reconsider. She still refused. Her best friend found her a job opportunity at a company that's well known in our area, and Mia was excited beyond measure. She even went shopping for new clothes just for the interview. However, the day of the interview, I got a call from her crying saying her interview was cancelled. I was confused, thinking something must have gone wrong, but she said that her stepdad got home and told her he cancelled the interview using her email, which led to an argument. I was livid. I went home and I flipped out at him. Like I just lost it on him and he was shocked by my reaction. He defended himself, saying he did this for her own good and that he was frustrated after she kept turning down his offer to join him at a company. He lashed out, saying that instead of siding with her, I should be encouraging her to join the company and help make it better, instead of working for others. I got out of the room and he shut the door and stayed inside the whole time. We still aren't on speaking terms, but he occasionally threw in how he just wanted what's best for the whole family. But now Mia missed an opportunity to work with a respectable company and gain the benefits that would help her progress in her career. Not the a-hole. Your daughter is an adult. She gets to make adult decisions. One of them is not working for her stepfather. See if she can't reschedule that interview. Something to the effect of, "Good morning, person. My profuse apologies for the previous email and confusion. This account was accessed by somebody who does not represent me and should not have the authority to speak on my behalf. I have taken steps to secure my email account so that this does not happen again. Would you be so kind to allow me to reschedule my interview? Edit. In case you, or anybody else reading, decides to take this advice, I honestly wouldn't add or remove any detail from this example. Too much detail makes it sound like you have excuses. Too little makes it sound like you don't care enough. Say exactly what information you would need to know if the roles were swapped. No more, no less. Please encourage her to do this, OP. If she needs a witness, ensure her that would back up her statement if need be. Not the a-hole, but seriously, your husband sucks, and so does his company. He created a company with an environment that is super misogynistic and straight up toxic for women. Birds of the same feather flock together, OP. He is giving off super creepy and very controlling vibes. Yes, his refusal to accept multiple no's from a young woman is disturbing, as is his obsession to have Mia working at his company. Not the a-hole. Is he normally this domineering and controlling? Dude straight up hacked her emails and ruined an opportunity that she actually wanted. Your daughter has good judgment in not wanting to work anywhere near him. Not to mention he practically bragged about it to the daughter after he did it, and then was shocked when Opie was upset. Sounds like this guy's not used to being told no, or opposed in any way. Some serious red flags here. I hope Opie leaves him. I'd never put up with someone doing that to my kid. Not the a-hole. Report this to the police. What your husband did was commit fraud, and possibly illegally accessed your daughter's email as well. Make it clear to your husband that he's making choices that ensure his daughter will not speak to him ever again. Consider whether you want to spend your life with somebody who could do this to someone he claims to love. If your daughter still lives at home, please do what you can to get her out of there and away from your abusive husband. Exactly. And not only make it clear that the daughter will not speak to him, but Opie will not speak to him either. Like he legit has to find a way to resolve this in the best way for the daughter, or the husband would have to leave, in my opinion. Next story. Am I the a-hole for putting a debt on my daughter? My wife and I are in the fortunate position of being wealthy. We had to work our butts off to get where we are, and we never forget where we came from. Our kids grew up rich kids, but we never spoiled them even when we could have. They went to nice schools, had nice things, but they also had summer jobs and after-school jobs to pay for their own extras. We also push philanthropy in our family, so our kids recognize they're privileged and that our life isn't even remotely how regular people live. I'd say for the most part, our kids have grown up to be respectful and good people. Our oldest children are twin boys and their sister, who is 18 months younger than them. All three are in college now. Our youngest two are in 8th grade. I got a call from our bank a couple days ago, saying that someone had cashed a check that was charged to our bank account in the amount of about $62,000, and that the check had been made out to the tuition office of the university my oldest 3 kids attend. Naturally, I investigated the matter myself with the university and got some answers. I pieced together that one of my kids snagged my checkbook and wrote a tuition check for a friend of theirs. There's a much bigger story behind why this kid couldn't pay, but that's private, and my wife and I agreed to fund this young person's education because of their private struggles. I grilled my kids and figured out that it was our daughter Joanna. Joanna was apologetic, but she was also quite insistent that she stood behind her actions. I respect my daughter for her convictions, and she really did have good reasons for why she did it. But the fact remains that she stole and then she hid it. Joanna asked what her punishment is, and I told her to get a job because she now owes her mother and I $62,000. Here's the thing. I don't expect Joanna to pay us back, and if she came to me tomorrow with the money, I wouldn't take it. What I want is to see an effort made, an acknowledgement of her actions and the consequences. If I see that she's actively trying, I'll tell her that she doesn't have to pay me back. She's my kid and I love her, so all I want is for her to learn a lesson. But Joanna doesn't know all this. All she thinks is that she owes me $62,000. So naturally, I'm a horrible father and a very mean person. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. I actually think you should follow through and expect her to pay it back in full. Same. Otherwise, she'll think from now on, oh, I just have to do what he wants for a couple weeks and I'll be good. I think you're spot on for how you're addressing the sneaking, stealing, and lies. I'm sure you made it clear that she had to come to you and made a case for helping this person out. There would have been no consequence, but that the disciplinary action is a result of the dishonesty and theft, not the a-hole. That's the thing. Had she come to me and explained what was going on with this friend of hers, a nice kid we've known since her freshman year, would have been happy to pay. What is money and having wealth if you aren't going to help those who need it? We can't understand why she'd hide and lie, and sneak and steal since we've never once denied using our money for good. I have a whole scholarship fund set up at my own alma mater to send kids to college. This kind of thing is my favorite kind of giving. I'd be more concerned about the stealing. She could go to prison for this kind of thing. You don't want her to suffer those consequences, but her just glossing over theft and fraud doesn't bode well for her future. If she did this to anyone else or anywhere else, her future could be over. If she knew you'd foot the bill, what was the impetus behind her actions? Other than to see if she could get away with it. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for going through my daughter's room while she was asleep? Hello, I, 49 female, have a 17-year-old daughter. Throughout middle and high school, she has had some problems with smoking weed and vaping. I have gone through her room and belongings on several occasions when she has not been home to try and make sure she's not doing anything illegal. And most of the time, I don't find anything, but I can never be too sure. She's over a month into her senior year and has really let her grades slip. She is normally a straight A AP student, but she has several B's in the grade book right now. I am very disappointed in her as this is her senior year and she should not be screwing around like this. Last night while she was asleep, I decided to go through her room because I figured if her grades were this poor, she must be misbehaving. I looked through her drawers and closet, but I couldn't find anything, so I decided to look through her phone. To do this, I had to get on her bed and reach over as she sleeps with it by her pillow facing the wall. While grabbing her phone, I saw her wallet and decided to look through that too. I gave up on looking through her phone because I couldn't figure out her password, so I opened her wallet and started looking through it. In her wallet, I found an empty vape pod and saw red. I woke her up at about 5:30 and confronted her about it. She told me that she didn't even know it was in her wallet, and that she didn't even understand why I was mad because I know she quit months ago. She then asked me why I was going through her stuff in the middle of the night, especially since she gave me no reason to. And then she said I was an a-hole and completely betrayed her trust. So am I the a-hole for going through my daughter's room while she was sleeping? Can't wait to see you back here on your am I the a-hole for causing my daughter to go no contact the moment she turned 18? It's weed, not heroin. She's 17 and an academic top performer. What are you getting this worked up over, lady? Chill the heck out, Mom. You're the a-hole. Sounds like Mama probably could benefit from smoking a little herself. My parents treated me this exact way growing up, despite me being top of my class for my entire youth. Messed me up about trusting persons in authority majorly. I hardly talk to them today. Go figure. Yeah, I was top of my class, but my parents luckily were pretty chill about grades. My grades slipped senior year of high school because I was burned out. High school grades matter so little in the grand scheme of things. Every good chance the reason the daughter was smoking is to deal with the stress the mom is putting her under. One of my high school best friends was a consistent B and C student. Decided to buckle down in college and got into a top med school. And then I had friends who were so burned out after high school that they floundered in college. What mom is doing isn't helping her daughter at all. You're the a-hole. Her grade slipped from A to B and she's screwing around? How tiger mom of you. As a parent, you certainly have a right to have a say in what your child does while they still live with you, to a point. You are exhibiting zero trust in your daughter to the point that you are seizing opportunities to ease your extreme paranoia over what your daughter does behind your back. You absolutely violated her trust. Why would she trust you? She's given you zero reason to suspect her of screwing around, except apparently a slight drop in grades, which honestly doesn't call for what you did. Seriously think about the relationship you want to have with your daughter because she will soon become an adult. And if you keep expressing this level of paranoia and overprotection, she's going to eventually want to cut you out of her life. Further, she won't want to come to you for help or advice because she won't be able to trust you. What if she gets in trouble when she's at college or working, and she desperately needs someone to help her, but she can't think of anyone because her mother would just mistreat her for getting into trouble? I had this kind of parent, and I got kicked out because of a fight about how to fold towels. You're the a-hole for sure. I have a great job, and 12 years later, no one has ever looked at my high school or college grades. Just that I have a degree.